It's the start of a new year, and with that, it's the start of a new year of Final Fantasy XIV news. We've had two sources of news drop this week: the official Lodestone post that we get every new year, and Yoshi P's annual Q&A visit to the JP servers. While neither are revolutionary, they both offer insight as we look forward to the 8.0 FanFest cycle beginning in April, and the release of patch 7.5, likely in late April or early May. Links to both sources provided in the description. And special thanks to Aluna Minori of the Final Fantasy XIV subreddit Discord for unofficial translations of the Q&A. I'm not going to go over the Q&A verbatim, but here are a few of the highlights. Remember, these are unofficial translations, so some details may be lost or vary. A Switch, or more probably Switch 2 version of Final Fantasy XIV seems to have been confirmed, with Yoshi P saying simply to look forward to it. Glamour Plate expansions will be worked on after the housing expansions, presumably the TARDIS housing update scheduled for 7.5. This is good news, but also suggests we may be waiting for 8.0 or later for any substantial increase to the glamour plates themselves, so make use of what we have. Also, in relation to housing, Yoshi P responded affirmatively both to requests to include larger aquariums and to remove glamour restrictions on mannequins. Someone also requests being able to switch the orientation of the front of a house, although Yoshi P's response is unclear whether this will be implemented. We will be finding out more about Beastmaster in the next live letter, which will presumably be 7.5 Part 1, and based on prior patterns will likely take place sometime around March. Requests for additional mounts, minions and glamour, including a Fat Chocobo hoodie, Cockatiel minion, and additional mounts from the Nier raids were heard, and it was confirmed that the next mascot bodysuit we will be getting is a Namazu. One player requested a dye inventory for dye storage, and while Yoshi P did not confirm anything, he did say they are working on something regarding dyes, so look forward to that. Devs are also working on implementing greater skin color varieties for character creation. This is likely part of a larger character creation overhaul, which will include features such as the ability to place currently racially restricted features like moles on other types of characters. Finally, when quizzed over the concept of the next Ultimate Raid, scheduled for 7.5, he stated that it was, quote-unquote, meta, and we would know when we play it. Exactly what this means currently is uncertain. However, given according to pattern the next scheduled Ultimate is the Shadowbringers MSQ, I am curious if we may see a deviation of pattern slightly. For example, perhaps an Ultimate themed on the 3 Unsundered Ascians that also integrates aspects of Pandemonium, in addition to Hades and the Warrior of Light. Regardless, I guess we will know when we play it. Those are all the highlights from the Q&A. Again, thank you to Aluna Minori for the unofficial translations. Next, and more formally, we have Yoshi P's New Year greetings post on the Lodestone. This includes his own reflections, as well as the usual cryptic message gesturing to the next year of content. In terms of his personal reflections, Yoshi P reiterates his recent comments about FF14 having to change given the current live service landscape, or evolving market, to use his own words. Exactly what this means in terms of Final Fantasy XIV's structure, schedule, and content is still unknown, and it is likely we'll not have any concrete information until the FanFest in April. If even then. I'm currently working on my own video reflecting on this in light of my experience with several free-to-play gacha RPGs in 2025, which should be out later this month, so I will save my own speculations and thoughts for there. Another perhaps telling statement in the post, however, is that we are about to take the second step on FF14's 10-year journey. This could imply that 8.0 will be launching this year, perhaps in November or December shortly after the JP FanFest, rather than the projected January-February 2027 date that much of the community has been working with. I hope FanFest provides some clarity on this. As for what that step might be, however, we have the cryptic message, which this year reads, "Our past astern we scan the sea, in search of that which yet may be. Frail playthings of the restless tide, yet wind and wave shall be our guide." Yoshi P then provides his own gloss on these words, declaring them both, quote, serene and contemplative, and that, quote, Grappling with the restless tides of change, lessons learned on wind and wave no doubt carry the author ever forward to exciting new horizons. These statements are both cryptic and also quite straightforward. For example, 2024's clue prior to Dawntrail's release spoke of journeying across the Western Seas, the prospect of things unknown, and questions whether the journey will be either a homecoming or a new beginning. This fits with Dawntrail as the start of a new saga, the encounter with the unknown in Alexandria and the Ninth Shard, but also the dual sense of homecoming and new beginning, as we dealt with the uncanny spectres of both Final Fantasy IX and Final Fantasy XI throughout the expansion. 2025's New Year message broke the usual format, being delivered in a digital block rather than the usual cursive parchment, declaring to never stop or turn back. More specifically, he who stops will ne'er endure, he who turns will ne'er be more. Looking back at the main updates for 2025, patch 7.2, Seekers of Eternity, and 7.3, The Promise of Tomorrow, I think it's fairly evident this message is about Calyx and his motivations, who at the time had yet to be introduced, and more generally of preservation as an organization. And perhaps a message to the devs to continue to push forward despite Dawntrail's critical reception. But given these previous messages and our 2020 hindsight regarding them, what can we make of this year's clue? The simplest is that we are now heading into the unknown, and without clear direction or self-determination. Unlike 2024's specificity, with the author's gaze turning to the Western Sea, we are adrift. We scan the ocean for possibilities, but are frail playthings of tidal forces beyond our control. At the same time, we are assured that these natural forces, the wind and waves, will be our guide. Thematically, the message cautions us to go with the flow, to be guided by the wind and waves rather than scanning the sea for things that are not yet to be. In terms of narrative direction, this tells me that whatever drops in 2026, whether just 7.5 or 8.0 itself, is not going to be the destination, but a part of a longer journey, indeed the second step in the next 10-year plan for Final Fantasy XIV. At the same time, reflecting on recent story suggestions in 7.4 by our potential antagonists, it may be hinting that our upcoming predicament is one brought about by our own relentless scanning of new horizons, our willful pursuit of possibilities. Taking the clues less thematically and more concretely, the sea imagery is ubiquitous, which might point towards more oceanic regions of Aetheris or to a shard predominantly covered by water for the next patch or expansion. The longtime Final Fantasy fan in me can't help but wonder if we might be getting an expansion drawing on Final Fantasy X's Spira, with its archipelagos and island cultures. One of my long-time personal feelings is that Final Fantasy X's Sin and its Sinsworn would make for a really excellent raid series theme, but that's just a personal feeling, and we'll probably find out more in April. That is all the major news, so if you made it this far, I hope you're all doing well, have a fabulous weekend, and good luck on your Savage Prog next week. I will be doing the tier and party finder, so if you have any excess luck, I would really appreciate it being sent my way. Please like and subscribe for more news and commentary. This has been Lorika Lorray, signing off.